Greetings, everyone. So glad you could be here. I am sorry, I'm a couple minutes, just a minute late. All right, not too bad. Let's go around. I don't know if you're hearing all of these notifications going off, and I'm trying to close them so that it's not going to be disturbing. So I thought I had disabled those, but they keep popping up periodically. So anyway, thank you so much for being here on my third live on the Performance Coaching for Empowered Black People channel here. So I'm going to do a brief introduction for those of you who don't know me, and then we're going to get into today's topic. So once again, my name is Diane Thomas. I am an empowered Black woman. I fill various roles in my life. I was a daughter. I'm a sister friend, and a certified high performance. And I also work with nonprofits and helping them raise money for their organizations, creating their fundraising programs for them. But today we're here, or I'm here in the capacity of a certified high performance coach, and here to help you live a life on a level of more engagement, joy, and confidence while you are working to dismantle the constructs of Black excellence and Black exceptionalism. I'm a lover of Black people, and I feel that that's my calling. And so that is where I'm going to be focusing most of my conversations here, though we can talk about other things, because I am still looking for subject ideas, topic ideas from you for you to let me know what you would like for me to talk about in the realm of the work that I do with individuals who are focused on getting to higher levels. So I'm about elevation, I'm about uh, improvement continuously. So please let me know what those ideas would be, and you can put them anywhere. If you have my email, you can email them to me at diane@dmariethomas.com, or you can put them in the comments section. About that. The chat section of the the uh, the chat here. So, so what I wanted to talk again about was making some clarity or getting some clarity on around Black excellence and Black exceptionalism. One of the things that I feel that has driven me to this space where I'm speaking out on these topics is because I think there are constructs that we've accepted as a part of our lives. And so that's why it's really important, I think, for us. If we're going to live by this thing, we need to know what it is. And we need to do what we need to do. If we're going to do it knowingly. And if you're going to fight it, understand what you're fighting. So understanding what a construct is essentially, it's an idea about how to live and how to function that's just based on somebody's opinion, essentially, and it's not based on any evidence. And so that's a challenge for us because we're being expected to live up to a thing that we didn't even initially create. It was somebody's idea. So that's what we're going to address a little bit more today in the topic. And I actually came to this topic from watching a LinkedIn post some time ago. And I saw there was just a clip actually, and the person was mentioning like a eureka moment that they were having in the midst of a panel. I think they were sitting on a panel. It was a panel of Black women, I believe. And so she was talking about how if we're going to get to higher levels of whatever it is we want to do or make any changes in our lives, we need to ask better questions. We need to ask questions that are going to challenge us and are going to push us, not the ones that we kind of already know what the essential answers are going to be, but ones that are going to just take us out of wherever our current mindset is and challenge us to think differently. And so, what she said, someone had asked her once, was what her life would look like uninterrupted. And that took me back because I remember when I heard her say that, it really goes back to what I talk about in living in congruence with your life when I talk to my clients, living in congruence, living in authenticity, uh, living uninterrupted. So you're living on your own terms, long story short. And then I got to thinking about a podcast that I heard years ago. And I think the topic was on Phyllis Wheatley, the poet. Um, and the person was making some commentary about what I believe they were saying, that either in part of her writing, she was making a reference to how she has had to use her life. She was one who was used her imagination to kind of create the what ifs and give us through her poetry a vision of potential and what could be. And she was thinking, I guess this person was interpreting what she was thinking as, imagine if I didn't have to fight white supremacy. Imagine what my life would be. Imagine how I could have been using my talents in other situations and other places and doing other things. And it was really powerful. I remember exactly where I was when I heard that person say that, because it was so eye opening for me. And because I think we have been acclimated to functioning in a space that expects less of us and expects us to fit into these constructs, as I talked about before. And we don't ever question it. We just move because it's almost like a massive wave that we're moving, we're being pushed along. We're not, I don't think then for the most part, about how we're moving, but we're being moved through this, funneled into these constructs, and we're not really sitting down and thinking about how we can challenge these constructs. And so, a lot of this thinking I have been toying with over the years in terms of how I'm going to consciously show up to push back against it, because it isn't authentic to who I am. And just through my life, many life experiences, I've recognized that I don't ascribe to them. I don't fit into them. And I really don't think most Black people fit into them either. So, so that led me to come up with the topic for today, and asking, I hope is what may be a better question. Does Black excellence and Black exceptionalism interrupt the way you want to live your life? I at first thought to use the word influence, and you may have seen that in some of the posts that I sent out. But then when I recognized, I said, it's not even so much influencing, because it's not like it's something that you're consciously participating in. It's this thing that already exists, and it's affecting you. So it's interrupting the way that you would normally move. And so I wanted to ask that question because I ask it for myself. And then I wanted to know in what ways you felt that Black excellence and Black exceptionalism was interrupting your life, and then how you were fighting back. And so to bring I didn't bring my phone with me. Um, I did a couple of posts some months ago about my experience with Black excellence and Black exceptionalism, and how I was consciously fighting back. And I don't know, I was subconsciously fighting back, because I don't think at the time I really, again, recognized that it was something that was causing me the level of discomfort and challenge and just major issues in my life as it did. But I had um, decided that I was going to have three specific pillars, I guess, run my life. And first off was going to be me deciding that I was going to live as an empowered woman. I was going to be a person who was going to take personal responsibility for what happened to my life. I was also going to be someone who was going to be about continuous improvement because I always want to be moving forward and never backward. And I also wanted to make sure I was a lifelong learner because of my level of curiosity in my life. And so I believe if I continue to move, I continue to learn, I continue to take that responsibility onto myself for what my growth needs to look like. That is me actively working to live in congruence and authenticity with myself, and to fight back on Black excellence and Black exceptionalism. So so I did a couple posts on that, and I did actually, also quote someone that I had gotten a really good, it was a part of an article. I think I can maybe bring it up here really quickly. And if you haven't already, as I'm looking for this post, if you could like and subscribe to the channel, that'd be really great if you haven't done that already. So let's see if I can bring that up and where that might, or I might have put that. Bear with me for a second. I think it's really, um, really, it was really a powerful quote that I heard from this person. Okay, so essentially, she defined Black excellence, and she said Black excellence was a precursor to Black exceptionalism. That's kind of the way I saw it, also. And she said that Black exceptionalism encourages Black people to sacrifice their health, mental well-being, and welfare for the sake of greatness. Black excellence is an unreachable peak. Nothing is ever good enough. Black excellence is insatiable. There is always more to climb, more mountain to climb. Black excellence is not sustainable. And what happens to the Black people that society doesn't recognize as excellent? The single parent working multiple jobs to provide for their family, or the frontline workers struggling to make ends meet, may not be deemed exceptional in our society, but they are. Living in a world designed to keep you confined is Black excellence. There needs to be a shift in what we glorify and venerate. Black excellence is not just the firsts who accomplish the unimaginable. Black excellence is not just those who achieve accolades and awards. Black excellence is simply existing in a world that so desperately wants to destroy you. And this was written by Janice Gassam, Gassam Asare, and she's a senior contributor with Forbes magazine. So that was an article called Our Obsession with Black Excellence is Harming Black People. That was from August 1st, 2021 issue. Um, and that pretty much kind of just summed up my thinking about these constructs, because they weren't things that we created. And so it's something that's going to be a theme. It's a theme that I because I coach Black people in high performance, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but because I coach Black people in ways that they can not settle and to elevate, there's that ceiling, imaginary ceiling of Black excellence and Black exceptionalism that they continue to bump up against. And they don't even realize it when they're talking to me, when they're expressing challenges that they're having at work, or maybe the way that they're engaging in their personal relationships. it's always there. That's the thing. It's always there, and it's not identified specifically. And so it's this imaginary ball and chain that we're carrying around. So, so I just wanted to bring that question to you all, and I shared with you about how I fight it, and I'm just really curious before I kind of read out some of the areas that, well, in one of the posts that I did, the video post, I kind of listed some suggestions about how you can live your life more or less interrupted. But just wondered if you were willing to share that in the chat, and any of your thoughts about any of what I just talked about before, specifically if you see Black excellence as a hindrance, or maybe you don't. And if you don't, I'd be curious to hear that as well, how you are, um, if you are comparing yourself maybe to other people groups, and if you're seeing there's equity. If you're seeing there's equity, if you're seeing that you're being treated fairly in those spaces, then yeah, there that you may be, you're the unicorn. You are definitely in that space, because I think for most of us that is not a common experience for us. So so let me know if you don't mind, if you have any thoughts about the topic at all. I would love to hear about that. In the meantime, I will just share a little bit about, again, my certified high performance coaching and what I do and how I work with individuals. So the certified high performance coaching method is based on the belief that there are certain sets of people in the world that get to very high levels of achievement. And not only do they get there, they're able to stay there. They're able to maintain whatever success looks like for them. So, success at work, but also success in their personal lives. And oftentimes we know that um, that kind of causes to do both of those things at the same time is very difficult for a lot of people. And people who are doing very well at home end up not doing so much at work, and vice versa. Usually there's this balance that they talk about that many of us can't manage. And so once something falls off, your family life's going to fall off if you put all your effort into work, and your work is going to fall off if you put all your effort into family. So with these uh, this framework that's been created, they were able to find these people, and what were some of the things, what were the attributes, so their personal attributes about who they are. And I don't believe it was race specific, though I don't know what the demographics were specifically. Um, but through the tests and assessments and questions and all these things that were presented to them, they identified that there were a grouping of 5 specific areas that continued to be very consistent through all the conversations they were having with these thousands of people. And so those 5 areas were around how clear these people were about who they are, how they want to engage with other people, and what's going to get them to success. The next area was around energy. So these were people who tended to be very disciplined in their health habits, in the way they regenerated, re-energized, the way they were mindful about their lives. Courage was another area. So there were specific things that they or specific ways that they were able to show up and speak their minds and live in authenticity to themselves and be congruent with who they said they wanted to be, regardless of what other people thought about them. How productive is another area, their level of productivity. They got more done in the same period of time than a lot of other people who may have had more challenges or so they were able to arrange and structure their days so that they were able to get more done than their counterparts. And then the last area was the area of influence. And so these people tended to be more the people who either reported to them at work or maybe family members saw them to be a lot more saw them to be people who were people they wanted to listen to, people who they wanted to take guidance from. So something about the way that these individuals were showing up, they were able to sway people's thinking, challenge the way that they may have be doing things in a way that was and the way they lived their life was a model for these people around them. So those are the five areas. They're called the five pillars of high performance. There's a sixth. I don't know if it's an area necessarily, but it's an undergirding of all, or at least I call it an undergirding. I don't know that it's not necessarily presented that way in the training, but it's the way I see it. Because the first three, the I think it's clarity, energy, I think in productivity, I believe, are the ones that are kind of like the internal um, areas of habits that make people very productive. And then you have the other three, which was influence and uh, courage, I think, perhaps. And I may not be saying those correctly, but what I'm saying is that there is a internal way that you have to kind of embrace these principles, and then an external way that you embrace them, but they're all anchored by necessity. So these people who are doing this exemplary level of achievement over a long period of time are anchored in a need that they have to show up. It's very necessary for them to do and be who they say they want to do and be and to achieve. And so the why is always at the center of all the conversations that I have with my clients, even to asking them, why is coaching important for you now? What's going on in your life that you even want to do this now? Do this is a commitment, because I do 12-week. This program is 12 weeks. The initial core sessions are 12 weeks long. And so I do that with folks over a long period of time, which for them it may seem like a long period of time. And then there are additional layers to this if one wants to move past the 12 weeks. So that is the basic framework for the certified high performance coaching. And so it's for people, especially the folks that I want to talk to, who are empowered, so that they take agency for themselves. They take responsibility for themselves and how they want to show up. And then they are able to exercise that self-determination that I talk about through learning these principles and habits and practices. So it looks like I do have a question, and I'm going to try to see if I can bring it up here on my channel. So let's see if I can get to this. Let's see. Trying to see if I can read the comments. Okay, so let's see if I can pause myself. All right, so Abena, hey. So always striving, always trying to stay ahead of the game. Doesn't give us much time for self-reflection, rest, or enjoyment. So thumbs down to Black excellence. Exactly. It's exhausting. It is so exhausting. Staying ahead of what? That's the big question a lot of times, because we're grappling with so many. I call it the day to day, the minutia of daily living, that we have to stay on top of constantly, just for our own survival, right? And that's just probably what most people who are not extremely wealthy have to do. You have to kind of figure out what is the baseline for me, and if I want to get a little bit more money, or whatever, what do I need to do? So we're basically scrambling in our heads all the time, and then we've got these other constructs as Black people that we have to be fighting against as we're trying to do this. So it's exhausting. It is a game, and it's exhausting, and it doesn't give us a time to kind of look back at how we want to change things for ourselves, and to um, be more present, and be more free, and have more fun. And that's one of the things that I do not do. Um, and it's been a challenge for me. What is fun? What are things that I enjoy doing, as opposed to just constantly drilling and grinding all the time, just to catch up. It's not even to get ahead, but just to catch up, because in my mind I'm so far behind. I don't even get to do that. So it's an exhausting wheel that we're going to stay on if we don't just decide, like I did, to just jump off of it. Alton, hey Alton, good to see you here. Black excellence is nonsense. Why are we working twice as hard to meet some standard, a standard that's always, that's exactly right. The standard that is always moving. They're always moving the goalposts. We don't know. I was listening to a brother on a podcast today, and he was talking about how, and certainly, and Alton, I know you're very, much on history, and how the at least with the economics of this country has moved, and recognizing that, when our parents were, well, teenagers, I guess, uh, they could live very comfortably without, any college degrees. They had homes, they had cars, they had land, they had possessions, they were able to go on vacations and things like that, and they were tradesmen, and working with, if you had a two parent home that you came from, you know one of the parents, whoever that one was, chosen to was able to work, and that's the general idea of the two parent household, and being able to have that connection, where you're both focused on the growth of the family. They ripped away vocational ed in the late 70s, early 80s. And then we were all being told we needed to go to college. And especially for Black people, a lot of us, and some of you know my story, because I wasn't thinking about college the last semester of high school, because I wasn't tracked for college. So I was planning to go and work in somebody's office or something like that. So college for a lot of us wasn't even an option. Wasn't even something that was going to be realistic for us. But recognizing that there was a plan in place that was already being worked for their benefit and our demise, it's frightening, because what he was saying was, this was actually put in place, and these plans were put in motion for many years before we even became aware, as most of us, or some of us are, if we're paying attention to the fact that, yes, that goalpost is going to keep moving, because now they were requiring high school, and then after high school they were requiring college, and now you go to college, you come out, you can't even get a job in what you studied in school, and so you're working at McDonald's with a master's degree, and flipping burgers or whatever. So not only that, in terms of moving, the bound posts, moving the standards, but essentially we're looking at, even as people who are getting older, and what is that going to look like for us, as so-called retirees or of retirement age, because we're not even going to be able to do that uh, financially, because a lot of us had not worked in jobs, or even had employers that were paying pensions and whatnot, which don't even exist for the most part anymore. So we're going to be out here, you know, struggling as older people, because yeah, the idea was you go and you work someplace for 30 years, and then you retire, and then you're able to go and get your pension. For black people, I know for this black person here, that was never really a reality for me, because it was going to constantly be a situation, where, because I wasn't being paid what my white counterparts were being paid, and I was working in fundraising, a whole other story there. But so that there was always inequity, and we were always being measured by standards that we could never reach, because we weren't included when they were thinking about measuring it to be for it wasn't they weren't thinking about us when they were creating these systems, in the sense of us being able to thrive. That was not their plan at all. Alden said he'll be working till he's 80. Well, I hope not. I really do hope not. We deserve a break. We deserve to enjoy what time we have. We deserve to have fun. We deserve to live as free, empowered people. And so I think for us, I believe the key is going to be us working more so in collaboration with one another, as opposed to in a competition. I saw somebody post that on my Facebook feed this afternoon, and I thought that was a brilliant quote. I can't remember whose quote it was, but they were basically saying the competitors are the people scrambling at the bottom, and the collaborators are the folks at the top. Long story short. And so for us to rise, we're going to rise together. Individually in this country, it doesn't sustain us to do that. It's not practical for us as Black people to think that we could be out here struggling on our own. And it's not a good example, certainly for our children. I did a video a couple weeks ago and was talking about teams, and that there's no I in team, um, that they say, right? But it really does start with the individual. But we were so discouraged, and still probably to this day, in the standard government schools, from collaborating. Unless the teacher said it's okay, there's a special project for you to do that on. Um, the times when it really matters, when we have an exam or something like that, and we're really stuck, we can't ask the teacher for any help. We can't ask our neighbor or classmate for any help. We got to just figure it out on our own, and that is not going to benefit us as Black people in this country. Most definitely not. So let me see if hang on a second. Um, so that's essentially, I think, the dilemma for us, right? Is figuring out how we are going to work around ways that we could free, or finding ways that we can free each other by finding ways we can work together, um, and to counter this construct that is causing us to live interrupted lives. It's stopping us from our forward momentum. And I think the first idea is for us to understand that we are not white people. We're not white. You know, this rugged individualism does not work for us. And so finding ways that we could do more together, I think, is going to be very key for us. So any other thoughts in terms of the question? Does Black excellence, Black exceptionalism cause you to, or interrupt the way that you want to live your life? If you have any other ideas, you can pop it in the chat for me. Or any questions you have about high performance coaching or the methodology. I had an I had an interrupted session last week because of my uh, the internet here. So hopefully you did get to see the replay though and was able to benefit from some of the tips there. But if I'm open to answering any questions in terms of what scares you about getting coached, I can address those questions or any other questions you have on the topic. In the meantime, I will, as you're thinking about those, if you have any other questions, I'll share with you some ideas in terms of how you can live a life that's less interrupted. So, first off, recognizing that you deserve to live life on your own terms and not being interrupted by anything outside of what you want to do. You deserve that first and foremost. We do not need to feel that we have no voice and have no control. And you'd be surprised, um, even as fully formed adults, some folks that I speak to um, are scared. They are afraid to step into their power. Long story short, and so they almost accept and welcome the interruption because it's easier for them. It doesn't challenge them to step up in big ways that are scary um, and that challenge them to do hard things. So I applaud you. Already assuming if you're here, you're already an empowered Black person, you're stepping into your authenticity and you're living life on your own terms. So I celebrate you for that. All right. So how can you live life less interrupted? So here's some questions that you can ask yourself. What attributes about you demonstrate the best of who you are as a Black person? Uh, and I don't know how often we necessarily, I know I think about, that's the first thing I think about is me as a Black person, not so much me as a person. I am a woman, I am a daughter, I'm a this and that, mom and all of that. But um, identifying if I'm not I'm not, if I'm not where I want to be, or if you're not where you want to be, what attributes do you think that you have or can cultivate that could demonstrate the best of who you are or who you want to be? So that's one question that you can ask yourself, and it's probably stuff that you already have, or they're probably things that you already have an idea of already. The next question you can ask yourself is, how should I engage with and treat other Black people so they can experience me at my best? This is a really, I like this question because I think that, and I heard somebody on a podcast talk about this earlier. He's a gentleman that had done a crowd fund, and he was I think the first Black person to raise, like, I'm sure it's not $1 million. It must be like $10 million for this project. And he did a crowd fund. So he didn't have any institutional money contributed. This was all from people either in his network or some extension thereof. And he said, entrepreneurship is hard. I mean, those of us who are in it, we know that. And he said, because don't take it personally, but the people that you think would be the most supportive of you, like your family and friends, are likely to be the least supportive, at least in the beginning. He said it's more likely that you're going to get, and this is what his experience was in him raising this money for this initiative. more than likely it's some stranger that may have some affiliation with the type of work that you want to do that is going to support you before anybody else, like your mom or your uncle or something like that. Really, really interesting. Yeah, Alton said very true. Yeah, it's so, we all have had that experience. But I know for me, I do make an effort. I'm very conscious and aware of that. And so that's why, even for you all being here today, I thank you so, so much, because I'm stepping out here. I'm fumbling my way through it. Um, but I know the more that I do it, it's going to be easier, but then I'm also hoping that I'm bringing value. And I think that's one of the things, as we are thinking about when I was talking earlier about collaboration, that we make sure that we're bringing things that are going to be of value to our engagements with other people. So when you're thinking about how you're treating and engaging with other Black people and experiencing, so they can experience you at your best, think about it being a two-way street. It's a, there's some benefit, of course, that you want to get from the engagement or collaboration with the person, but also be already aware of what they need, and then being able to offer that to them. Because a lot of the times, in the way we may have to operate to get things off the ground, it may be, look, well, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, sort of like a bartering type of situation. And you have to have really trusting relationships to do that. And so understanding how you can not only, of course, bring whatever your skill set is to the relationship, but also bring a sense of support to these people, to bring a sense of how you can help grow the relationship, how you can help support them emotionally, how you can help elevate them in whatever spaces that they're in, and give them a pat on the back and lift their spirits, in terms of you just being there, I think is really important. So that I thought is really essential, because we have this so-called crabs in a barrel mentality that I don't know if it's real or not, but it's said a lot. And I heard somebody say one time, well, crabs are actually, they walk sideways. So they shouldn't be in a crab. They shouldn't be in a barrel anyway. So it may just be a natural reflex for them to be trying to get to climb sideways out of the barrel. So that's why they seem like they're climbing on one another. So when I heard somebody say that, I said, absolutely, because I don't believe that that's something that we do as first nature. It may be in a reaction to the situation we find ourselves in. So, food for thought, maybe. And then the third question is, what things did I do and what do I believe about myself that has made me most successful and or can make me more successful as I challenge the constructs of Black excellence and Black exceptionalism? So as an adult, we've done a lot of things, not necessarily all work type things. If you've raised children, maybe you're a caregiver or something, you volunteer somewhere. So there are things that we have done in our lives that we can take pride in, that we know we have a level of confidence in, because we were able to maybe overcome some big challenge that we had to get to where we are. Those are the building blocks for you to get even further, because you're essentially going to use what you know, and what works and what doesn't work, to help you elevate to additional levels of success in your life. So don't discount any of the challenges that you had, any of the hardships that you had to get you where you are today. you are a work in progress, but you're also a work of art. You're also imperfection in where you are right now. And but however, if you're a person who is okay, well, I'm okay. I feel like I'm all right where I'm at, but there's this one or a couple little things I'd like to do differently, or goals that I would like to achieve that I could probably do better on. Think about what got you where you are, and then double down on that to get you to the next level of your achievement, because it's nothing like using what you already have to get to where you want to go, and those are called success markers. So um, so when I'm coaching, what I do in terms of using these questions, they're actually questions around clarity. So I'm asking people to think about, if you were to describe yourself to someone in terms of how you see yourself in the best of who you are, how would you describe yourself? If you're wanting to describe how you want to engage with other Black people, and you are in your full ideal of an optimum person in terms of how you're engaging, how would you describe how that person is receiving you? And then in terms of the last question that I asked in terms of success markers, so what are those things for sure? I identified this, and this, or whatever you may have a list of 10 things, I don't know. But whatever they may be, those are the things that I know I could count on that got me where I'm at, and I feel pretty proud and satisfied about being at this place. And then I know I can use those tips to get me, or those strategies or habits or skill sets or talents, dispositions, whatever the word is that you want to use, to get me to the next level. Okay, so that's pretty much all I had for you tonight. If you have any additional questions, let me know. If I can wait a couple minutes if you're thinking. So while you're thinking about that, I'll just share with you that I am thinking going to be fielding a group coaching cohort in December. And so I know a lot of people, if they haven't done coaching before, or they're brand new to it, may be more comfortable doing something in a group. And of course, it's more cost effective as well. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can email me at Diane, Dianne, at dmariethomas.com. And then I will get you some information on that. In the description of this video, I believe there are links to my website. And there's also a link to a questionnaire, which I'll probably have everybody in the cohort complete anyway. Um, because that just gives me some background information in terms of where you're at, and helps me kind of know you a little bit better. But if you visit dmariethomas.com, that's my website, so you get to learn more about me. And then there's also a tab there on certified high performance coaching that you can uh, there's a drop down menu, I believe, that you can check out more on the certified high performance coaching methodology that I use. And you can either do the questionnaire there, because there are some links there for you, or you can use the link in the description here for you to participate. I'm waiving the fee for the application. So if you want to fill the application out and just send it to me, and we can schedule a free strategy session for an hour, you can do that. There's no obligation for you to do anything after that, but I definitely guarantee that you will get some guidance, some tools, some strategies that you're going to be able to use that very day. I guarantee that in in getting yourself at least acclimated or comfortable about having some other strategies, because it's all about, as I've said before, coaching is about taking you from where you are to where you want to go. So you already kind of probably have a view of what that looks like for yourself. And so being able to have somebody kind of prime the pump for you in terms of having you start to think about what those possibilities can be, because I don't tell you anything. I essentially let you come up with your own um, ideas about what those may be, but I ask better questions. And that's really what the difference is, I think, for a lot of people that get the value out of this coaching. So please let me know if you're interested. Check out the links in the description below here. And please go ahead and give me a like if you haven't already, and subscribe to this channel. My plan is to be here on Wednesdays. However, I know next week, Wednesday is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I will be here on Tuesday. So that Tuesday, not the Wednesday. So next week, Tuesday, whatever that day is, I'm not sure what it is, but I'll be here the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. And then we'll resume the um, the Wednesday gatherings that we're doing here the last week of November. So with that, I thank you again so much for your time and attention and for being here. I'm so appreciative. I hope it's been of value to you. So let me know what the experience has been for you, what the insights were. If you can, after you get off of the live and you may have some thoughts, I'd love to hear about them. Again, you can email them directly to me at Diane, Dianne at dmariethomas.com, or you can put them in the chat. All right. So thank you again. And until next week, Tuesday, stay safe and blessed. Take care.